Right, I see it's past here, so I think we can get started. Hi, everyone. My name is Marin, and I'm the Delivery Engineering Manager. And thanks for joining this AMA session. We are a group that does not have a group conversation yet, but after last Friday and SRE team doing that amazing AMA, I thought it might be nice for us to do something similar. Yeah, so feel free to interrupt, ask questions. Suri started us off awesome. So we are writing down some of the songs, and I'm learning something new as well about my team. So thanks, Suri. Anthony, feel free to speak up.
All right. So, Mayor, my question is about the infrastructure pieces that we use to host GitLab.com and how this is packaged and distributed. The delivery portion is your actual .com releases, but I know a lot of these features get bundled up with the Omnibus. How important is this in your list of priorities? And do you think we will always be able to do this? And do we always do this currently?
Yeah, so I think it is a bit of a, I wouldn't say a misconception, but it's a bit confusing to separate GitLab.com from self-managed releases, because they are pretty much tied, and we are doing everything in our power to not separate them. But right now, our main goal is to ensure that GitLab.com is always one step in front, and finding a way how to automate the process so that self-managed installations come out of that process, so that we don't have the duplication, like two teams doing the same thing for GitLab.com and self-managed. So it's pretty important, I would say, and we always are doing this, at least up until now. Did I cover your question, Anthony?
You did, thank you.
Awesome.
Hey, Marin, sorry, I don't have access to the doc right now. I just wanted to jump in with a question, and actually a request first. If you could maybe give a quick explanation of the delivery team responsibilities and scope of where you guys kind of fit in the overall GitLab offering. And then I had a question around the competitive landscape as it relates to I run into Spinnaker. I've been running into Spinnaker quite a bit. How do you see the future of your product, your team, and your offering as it relates to Spinnaker? Do we ever plan to integrate with them, or just straight replace?
Thanks, Joe. First of all, I have to say it is super scary seeing you driving and asking the question, so please stay safe. Second part is, what is delivery team for? Basically, we have never had a specific team that is responsible for handling releases for self-managed and also for GitLab.com. It was always a shared responsibility between multiple teams. But as we grew, the amount of work just for that rotating role that was created was just too much. So we created this team with one responsibility, and that is remove the manual work that people in the process had to do, and get to the point where we can ensure that deployments on GitLab.com are continuous. So kind of ties into what I was talking about a bit earlier, that we want to find a way to have self-managed and GitLab.com still connected, but now at a greater scale. And because we are tackling number of things on infrastructure side, so GitLab.com, but also we are touching actual code base of GitLab and its components. We are in a good position to optimize some workflows so that we can actually get into a situation where we can start replacing the current system with some more modern tools. Previously, everything was done manually. Right now, we're using GitLab CI, and we want to use GitLab itself to get GitLab.com on Kubernetes so that it can scale easier with our demand. When it comes to Spinnaker, I actually am not following that any at all, because I'm completely focused on GitLab and what GitLab can do. And if GitLab can't do something, then I'm finding a way to make GitLab do that something. And Spinnaker and what it can do, I would refer that to anyone from the product available in this call.
And Maren, I might hop on for a moment just to say that my understanding is that your team is responsible for delivering our software, whereas the product release team is the one responsible for the features that would, say, compete with Spinnaker. Is that a correct statement?
That's a great summary. That's a great summary, William. And anyone who wants to jump in and speak up, feel free. This is not a one-man show.
I'll also ask just what do you think is one of the biggest challenges you're looking at right now as you're trying to solve these delivery problems?
Yes, one of the biggest challenges so far has been the scale we are dealing with. Every place we kind of touch, things get super interesting in complexity. So just this morning the team was discussing how do we ensure that our security patches, security release, and all of that works between deployments on GitLab.com and releasing everything in time for self-managed customers. And I think we came to a point where after an hour of discussion, we realized, wow, this is so big. It has so many edge cases that we need to step back and just think about one use case and just focus on that one improvement, because otherwise we are going to go, well, I was saying that I was going to go insane because it was quite a lot to deal with. And if I'm like just moving that from that perspective, I'm also talking about scale of GitLab.com, because GitLab.com gets a lot of usage, and features that we don't necessarily use in our day-to-day workflows are definitely being used by our users on GitLab.com. So how small or big feature is on GitLab.com, it doesn't matter. You are going to affect someone if you make a mistake, if you make a change that breaks things. So we had to definitely focus on how do we ensure that even if our tooling becomes more complex and if our process becomes more complex, how do we make sure that there is no impact on product side, right? Feature shipping, as well as once we get to GitLab.com, there is no impact on our users. So now that I'm like rethinking about the question, this was quite a political answer, now I have to say. I'm gonna say one specific item, code base merges. So GitLab CE and GitLab EE repositories are separate, and that is causing a lot of headaches for us. So this is the single most impactful item that the team is working on at the moment.
So Maren, following up on that, could you give us a status update on how we're doing in there?
Yes, absolutely. I can share with you one document where, give me 1 second. we just started as the work group formed, but quite a lot of people are involved in the effort. So, okay, I shared the document, I think, and there are all resources are all in there. This document is also available in the handbook, in the work group description. I think code-wise, we are doing pretty well. If you take a look at Lucas EE diff dashboard, there is a clear trend that the diff between CE and E is reducing. The amount of work, though, is still significant. So all the issue boards that are linked in that document show that there is still quite a lot of items to be done, a lot of changes to be made and reviews to be finished. So I think we are a bit off from our target. At the moment, I don't think our target is May 22nd, given that it's March 22nd now. I don't think it's doable, but I think it's a very ambitious goal that we should definitely still push for.
Awesome, thank you.
Maren, I had a question for you, which was just because I'm curious, as someone who came from the distribution team, what are your personal reasons for starting this new delivery team?
Am I allowed to be selfish?
Truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Impact. I wanted to make a big impact. I wanted to make sure that our development teams are more efficient, not because I think they're not efficient, but because I think they can be way more efficient. And because I love the infrastructure team, I love everyone in the infra team, and I don't want to see them like scramble in outages just because we clicked on a button somewhere wrong. So automation and making sure that is done. And from the distribution side, we've been working throughout 2018 on creating the installation method on Kubernetes. And that was one aspect of it. And I'm really super curious to find out how can we actually apply that on GitLab.com scale while everything is live. So that's my selfish reason for doing this.
This is not a question, but it's more of a thank you for being so passionate about this, Maren, because from someone who helped with the release a few months ago to someone who's seeing now the release, the work that is being done and all the things automated. If it wasn't for you and your passion about GitLab and moving things into a better place, we would not be here today.
Thanks, Philippa.
Yeah, I'm gonna pile on Philippa because I like how only Maren could say it was selfish to go fix this thing that could use a lot more efficiency at GitLab, right? It's selfish of him to go make this thing awesome. That's amazing, Maren. That's an amazing testament to who you are. You think of that as selfish, whereas I think of it as all the things that you did to make Omnibus the most amazing package that's out there, you're going to now do for the delivery team. So I just had to pile on Philippa's thanks.
Thanks, Brandon. But I do have to say that if you just check out the team list, there's some really, really awesome individuals there. So definitely, I'm not doing any of this alone. Thanks, Christopher. Shout out about the single code base. Stan, I'm seeing quite rapid adoption of our Helm charts for GitLab. When do we anticipate moving towards containerized deployment? All right, so all the epics and all the links in there that you're seeing at the top are driving towards that. So we are working really hard on getting GitLab.com as like soon as April to a more frequent deployment cycle where we are going to detach ourselves from tagged releases, meaning we want to deploy minimum of once a week and see what, well, I don't want to say see what breaks, but see what tools need improvement, and remove ourselves from manual work that we are currently doing to actually get things on GitLab.com. The next task is for us to reuse the charts that the distribution team is working on and start taking on some of the components that we are running on GitLab.com and move them to like containerized deployments. So the first item I think that is a low-hanging fruit for us is getting the registry in Kubernetes, because there is absolutely no reason for us to run that from within the Omnibus package. And through that, learn what more tools do we need, how do we get GitLab into that mix, like how do we use GitLab exclusively for that, and improve that for our next step. Next step is going to basically depend on that, but I'm hoping that as we learn from registry, we are going to be able to replace another component, such as, I don't know, for example, Sidekick seems like a good candidate for that for me.
Cool, thanks.
Dan, I'm curious if do you have more information about customers using Helm charts? Are customers using them for large deployments? Are they using them like in a high availability topology similar to GitLab.com or anything like that?
I poke in occasionally the customers, and I do see most of them seem to be just using it as kind of their omnibus replacement right now. But that's a good thing. It's good that they're adopting it and they're using it. And but you know, maybe the support team has seen more, but I don't think that many installations are using it for high availability yet. But it is encouraging to me that people are willing to use the Helm charts, and people are in fact seem to be pulling from the latest Helm charts often too, because I think we're pushing out, you know, more nightly builds there, and people are actually picking them up. So I think it's really cool work there, and I got to play with it a couple weeks ago, and I think it's the future and where we'd like to go.
Yeah, what I know from my experiences in talking with some of the customers was not necessarily HA for the GitLab part, but they use HA at least outside of the Kubernetes, right? Like when it comes to the database, you set up Cloud SQL and use that. So I don't know necessarily if there is someone who's setting this up multi-region, multi-cluster, and so on.
We do have at least one larger customer who is actively making use of the charts, who is currently using Amazon and their supported database for HA and their version of Redis for outside support for that. And then they've set up Gitaly outside of the department, and they're doing a relatively large deployment of it. So they're following our current production recommendations. As Geo comes along, we expect to see even more of that start to happen.
Okay, given this is an AMA for the delivery team, I want to ask a question for the rest of the team and not for Marin, so Marin can take some time now. And so Jarb, Robert, Yorick, and who am I missing? Yeah, Skarbek, but he's not here. Right.
But he's not here.
How do you feel working on a team that has half SRE and half backend engineers?
I can go first. So for me, it's not a huge difference with what I've been doing in the couple of years leading up to delivery. I was doing, I started out as just performance specialist and database specialist. It was all performance related. And that was very similar. Like I would spend quite a bit of time developing and quite a bit of time responding to infrastructure incidents and dealing with infrastructure management, that sort of stuff. I think for me, delivery, I focus more on the coding side, mostly because I wanted to. And it's also somewhat similar to what I've been doing before I joined GitLab, different companies where I was always in sort of a DevOps role. So I quite like it. It means you don't sort of forget what it's like to actually deploy your code instead of just writing it, because there are sort of subtle differences you need to take into account and so forth. Yeah, so I really like it, actually.
Yeah, I'm enjoying that it's kind of more similar to our traditional like back end and front end split, where we're working on these disparate pieces of things that eventually come together to form a more cohesive unit that we've worked together to build. Even though maybe what the SREs are working on, I might not fully understand, and vice versa, but then we're making these two parts talk to each other.
I can go next. I enjoy it as well. I think it's really nice to have people with different focuses working in the same team. And I would say, I hope that we can continue to kind of follow this model in other teams as well, to have, both SREs and developers, if they're not in the same team, at least working closely together, which is really, I think it would be a good way to model like most teams in the company. I think it's nice to have that broader perspective. And I think, I guess we'll see if the delivery team is very successful, maybe we can copy this model in other groups.
Well, I guess, Alessio, we can ask you the same question, because Alessio is officially in the delivery team, but mostly because we don't have other place for a backend engineer, infrastructure. I'm super happy to have you on the team, though. So tell us how you think things are working.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. I'm really happy to work closely with SRE. Yes. It's weird because I'm in the delivery team, but not in the delivery team. And yes, I think that we can copy this model inside the actual development team if this is proven to be successful, because maybe we can try to fix many of the problems that we are facing up front, so that when it comes to the delivering something, most of the problems are already been fixed. So yes, I'm super happy with this new way of working.
Do we have any other questions?
What did you eat for dinner last night?
I don't remember. I don't know.
All right. Well, I wanted to ask about 11.9 today, since today is release day. The release post has a lot of things that people are the development product teams are really proud of. What are you guys proud of for this release?
I'm going to let the team speak first.
I'll start. I would say this isn't so much about the features in 11.9, but more about the delivery side of things. And I think we've seen a huge improvement in the tooling around deployments. A lot of things that were done manually are now automated through GitLab ChatOps. It's just a lot easier being a release manager than it was, although I didn't experience the full-on like how release management was a long time ago. But I know that compared to my first run as release manager, which wasn't that long ago, things are just a lot better now. And I think when I look ahead at what the delivery team is doing, you can really see how we're setting ourselves up for success with all sorts of different ways to make it even better. I don't know, that's kind of all I have. Maybe someone else on the team has some more comments on 11.9.
Lines for me are so blurred because a lot of the stuff we're shipping isn't part of a release per se. It kind of comes like either in the middle of a release or just after a normal release. So I can't remember like what we fixed when, but yeah, I do really appreciate things now. Like just we build a package and it automatically gets deployed to staging, like stuff like that, where you don't even have to wait around for it or babysit the package build. That's just a huge time saver overall. But in 11.9 itself, I think my favorite feature is like converting a thing to a discussion. That's just a huge win, where you can convert any issue comment to a discussion.
I think for myself, again, not necessarily 11.9 itself, but I concur with Robert there. Definitely the converting comment to a discussion is great. But for me, I think I'm pretty proud of the team that we managed to pull off a critical security release is as part of an ongoing release. Like I know how crazy that gets. So the team really did a lot of really great work. And I think one of the other favorite things that I've seen this release pay off is one of the features or one of the additions to the tooling that Jarv added, and that is do not deploy when there is an ongoing alert happening. So I think that caught us multiple times. We started to deploy things aborted because there was ongoing something. And I think Jarv went to double check whether everything is okay, confirm with the other SRE teams that it's possible to continue and then continue. So I'm pretty happy about that visibility that we didn't have before.
Yeah, for me, 11.9, it was my last release as in my old developer team. So I was in the release team before. And so nothing related to delivery, but something that I worked on that I'm really happy is this ability to run CI builds on detached head of your merge request. So we can start working toward merge trains and being able to know if a code base will fail once it gets merged.
That is going to be a save for, I was not aware, Alessio, that got merged in 11.9. That is going to be a lifesaver for us. That is awesome.
I think not completely, just some part of it. I was working on the runner, so runner can support it. I'm not sure how much of the backend part in Rails is complete, but yeah.
Soon. All right. I think we are at time. Well, everyone, thank you for joining. I really enjoyed having a discussion with all of you. So I hope you have a great, successful Friday and a great weekend.
Bye.
Bye.